Hello and welcome to the Library Basics for Masters in Social Work webinar. This class is being presented for the spring 2021 semester. First, a little bit about me so you know who you're listening to. My name is Kendra Harrell and I'm a librarian here at Texas A&M University, Texarkana. My contact info is on your screen. My office hours vary, so the best way to get a hold of me is to email or to make an appointment. I will review how to find contact information on the library's website later in the presentation as well. As for me, I have dogs, cats. I like to crochet, embroider, and sew. I'm a sci-fi and fantasy fan, and my favorite book is Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, but the movie is only okay. These are some of the other full-time librarians that can help you with library resources. Carrie Stover is the library director. Nisha Federick is our reference librarian, and Olivia Polton is our electronic and digital services librarian. There are lots of other helpful people that work in the library, but they're just not on this particular slide. Nisha and Olivia also monitor the LibChat online chat service. So your university library is the John F. Moss Library in the University Center building of the TAMUT campus. The service desk is on the 3rd floor, just inside the library entrance, and most of the books are on the 4th floor. The library has a lot of books, but this presentation is mostly about our electronic resources. We have a lot of ebooks, online journals, and other online resources that you can use without ever stepping foot in the library, and those are especially useful right now. This course is meant to be a practical guide to using the library's resources for general and social work specific research. The goals of this class are to define database, to find Worldcat Discovery on the library's website, and use it to search for resources and narrow down search results, renew a checkout, request an interlibrary loan, find course reserves, and then also find individual databases on the library's website, define peer review, define evidence-based research, and to find help, LibGuides, the Ask Us chat, and more. So in order to find a resource, it's important to know what you're looking at. So when I talk about library databases, what am I really talking about? So a library database, well, any database is essentially a collection of information stored in electronic format. Sometimes a database can be general, like Wikipedia, which is, of course, an online crowdsourced encyclopedia. Sometimes databases are themed, like Wikipedia, which is the online Star Wars encyclopedia. And like those two, many databases are free to use. But also like those two, many databases are not academic databases. The information that's stored in databases comes in lots of different types. Journal articles are one of the big ones, but other categories that you might see are newspaper and magazine articles, books, ebooks, videos, and images. Some of our databases focus on only one type of information, and some have a mix of these different types. So when I say journal, what does that really mean? Well, you can think of a journal as a collection of articles like a magazine, but usually with a lot fewer advertisements. Peer-reviewed journals are used by academics of all professions to update each other about their work, inform the world about new discoveries or changes in research, and to contribute to their field in a formal way. Journals are published on a quicker timetable than books, and because of this, they're more current and often more relevant to trending topics in a field of study. Because articles are relatively short, they can provide targeted, specific information about a single topic. Now, a vast majority of the library's journal articles are available through electronic databases, but there are still some that are in print in the library. These journals can't be checked out, but they are available for use in the library. Now, if you still need to access a print journal article while we're closed, or if you're a distance student, or for limiting contact, just contact the library for assistance. So how are library databases different from, say, Wikipedia? Well, there's lots of ways, but we're going to talk about these three main ones. One important distinction is that they're often not free, which means your tuition and government funding enables the library to purchase subscriptions for them that then you're able to use. This is why it's important to use the library's website as a portal to access those resources, because if you try to access them just through Google, you're going to be directed to pay for that content when you really don't need to. So another important difference is that library databases are aimed at academic content. So if you're searching for sharks, you're not going to find the video for baby shark, but you're going to find journal articles about shark behavior or biology. Another one of the reasons that the information in library databases is different from Wikipedia is that a lot of it is peer-reviewed. So this means that when a journal publishes an article, they have other professionals in that field review the content of the work first to make sure that it lives up to the standards of that field. For example, if a student submits an article on shark bites to be published in the American Journal of Forensic Medicine and Pathology, and it has references to the different sized bites of baby shark versus mommy shark, citing the baby shark video on YouTube as a resource, the other scientists in charge of reviewing submissions are going to flag that so it does not get published. This process is meant to control the quality of an academic journal and maintain high standards for published articles. Wikipedia articles are not subject to that sort of filtering. So the library has different types of databases. Some of them contain the full text of journal articles, but some only contain partial text like abstracts or indexes of the articles. I'm going to show you how to sort those out so that you don't have a lot of partial text results in your searches. So Worldcat Discovery is intentionally very easy to find on the library's website. See the search Worldcat Discovery bar in the middle of the page circled in red? That's it. That's Worldcat Discovery. That's our main portal to doing a search. So from this basic search form, you can narrow down your results to only books or articles or videos. And this form runs your search through a majority of the library's databases all at once, so you don't have to go into each one individually. Would point out that the book search, it's going to search for both print and ebooks. But once you're into your results, you can kind of weed out which ones you don't want. So Worldcat Discovery is our kind of Google style search. It searches most of our databases and it'll get you a lot of results. That can be a good thing and a bad thing. Like if you enter a simple search keyword like bees, you'll get back over 42,000 results. And that's information overload. It's way too much to search through to find what you're looking for. In order to make those searches more effective, we have to narrow down our topic and narrow down some other factors too. So one way to get fewer and better search results is to add keywords to your search by using the Boolean operators or, and, or not. Using the or operator in a database search means that you are searching for multiple keywords equally. So for instance, if you search for dog or canine or hound, the results will contain articles that mention any of those terms. Any of the results may contain only the word dog or only canine or only hound. This would retrieve a lot more results than if you search for only canine. When you use and, you're actually going to get fewer results than if you use or. If you search for employee and motivation, your results will only have articles that include both of those terms together. Now you can use not to uninclude a keyword in your search. This works the same way that a minus sign works in Google. So if you're searching for cookie recipes in Google, for instance, and you keep getting back tons of Pinterest pages that you don't want to dig through to find out what the preview showed you, you can actually change your search to cookie recipe, minus sign, no spaces, Pinterest, and Google will eliminate the Pinterest pages from the results. It's the same way in library databases using the word not, same concept. So if you want to search for computer virus, but you don't want to include worms, just search for computer virus, not worm, and you won't have to wade through all those articles that you don't want. Now, truncation is a great shortcut. It's not a Boolean operator, but it's something you can use with Boolean operators and with searching. With truncation, you can put in a symbol. It's in most databases, it's going to be an asterisk, and the search will include all the variants of that word. So for example, teach asterisk will retrieve results for teach, teacher, teachers, teaching, etc. You don't have to come up with every version of a key term, just the root portion. When you are trying to search on a specific topic, it helps to break down that search into the keywords of your topic. For example, if you're doing a project on how stress affects the academic performance of students in higher education, you could break that down into the keywords stress, academic performance, students, higher education. Now, because academic performance is multiple words, putting it in parentheses or quotations will help keep that phrase intact in the search string. Truncating student will allow us to get result for student and students. And by adding the truncated terms university and college to the search, you can account for different terms used for higher education. And because any of those would be acceptable, you can separate them by an or to get any combination. Truncating university also helps you get universities, and it's the same for college. So adding the asterisk will allow for the plural. If you want to find an exact phrase, you can put it in quotation marks. However, this isn't always going to be the best way to search in a database unless you already know, say, the title of an article or a distinct phrase that you're trying to find. So a Boolean search using and, or not is going to be the best way to find what you're looking for in Worldcat Discovery and most of the individual library databases as well. Let's go into an example search in Worldcat Discovery to find even more search strategies and to see what the results page looks like. So I put in a search under everything for bees and poll asterisk and pesticides. Poll gets me pollen, pollinator, pollination rather, and any other word with that root. It could also get me words like polling or polywog, but I'm hoping that combined with bees and pesticides, the terms will make sense contextually. If that doesn't work the way I want it to, I could try putting in a more specific search. So first, let's look how the results page is set up. There are limiters on the side here, which are options you can turn on and off to help limit your results. And I've got them indicated here by a little blue rectangle. In the center, the results boxes have a lot of resources inside them already. So even without having to click through into the resource, we can get a lot of information out of them. So let's look at that. So the first result in the list is an ebook. You can either click the title to find out more information or choose the View ebook button to go directly to it. Over on the right side in the circle, you can also click Cite to pull up citation for the ebook in different formats. You can click Link to get a link to the resource that you can use again later. Click Email to send information about the resource via email, or click Save to put the resource in your saved items folder in Worldcat Discovery. I would note that if you do choose to use the Save button, if you aren't logged into Worldcat Discovery, that information is not going to be saved after your browsing session is over. So in order to have that Save button do you any good, really, you'll want to log into Worldcat Discovery, and I'll show you how to do that in a bit. Let's look at the limiters that were over on the left side for a moment, and I'll kind of go through what they mean. They're different from our old search function, which was swoop, that was replaced last year. So they're a little bit different than the old ones if you're used to how that worked. But the idea is still the same. It's to narrow down your search results. So the top option keeps the limiter selections for your next search. If you didn't get what you're looking for in your first search, you can just type in a new one, and the next results page, it's still going to keep the same set of limiters that you chose. So that's important. The held by library section is particularly important. One of the big ways that Worldcat Discovery is different from our old swoop system is that Worldcat is linked into libraries worldwide. So you can search more than just our library. You can actually search lots of libraries. Now, not all libraries use this system, but many of them do, many. And the system searches A&M Texarkana and Texarkana College's resources by default. But if you check off libraries worldwide, you'll be opening up your search to any of the libraries that use this system. That means that you might not have instant access to all the resources in your results, but you will be casting a much wider net. And that's especially important when you're requesting an interlibrary loan, which we'll go into in a little bit here. So scrolling further down, there's a format limiter. This is where you can choose if you want to narrow your search to only articles, only books, etc. If you click show more, you'll have even more options to choose from. So if you're looking for an academic article, you could choose article here. In the content type limiters, you can choose a few different options. Full text means that we have full access to the resource and you won't have to ask for an interlibrary loan in order to gain access. And then open access resources are essentially already free resources that we've included in the search just to have as many results as possible. It gives you access to all of that free research. The peer-reviewed option is especially important because professors often require you to use peer-reviewed articles in your projects. And if you're doing a research project that does require peer-reviewed sources, you can quickly and easily sort them out by checking off that box. So by using the publication year limiters at the bottom there, you can use a preset option like last 5 years to quickly get the most recent resources, or you can put in your own year range. Scrolling even further down, there are limiters that let you choose a specific author, subject, language, and more. I want to show you more about the subject limiter though. This is one way to narrow down your results quickly. So if you're looking for results in a particular field, this is a good limiter to review. Make sure to click show more at the bottom of the checkboxes there so that you can expand the section fully and see all your options. So let's say that you found an article that you like and you want to look at the full article. So if you click on view full text, you will have to log into the university in order to get to the article. And this is kind of snapshots from that page. First, it's going to take you to the log into Texarkana College versus A&M page. So if you're having any trouble logging in, you will have to contact University IT. The library doesn't have access to reset this particular password because it's university-wide. And just make sure to choose the correct school there. If you're TC, go with the top option. A&M students go with the bottom option, and then just sign right in. Once you've signed in, the article will load, and from there you can download a PDF. You can send it in an email and a variety of other options depending on the database that the article is actually from. Next, we're going to talk about how to renew a book that you've checked out in Worldcat Discovery. Now, unfortunately, with the new system, we don't have the option to renew via text anymore like we used to, but it is still very simple. First, just click the sign in button in the upper right corner of Worldcat Discovery screen. And if you need help, if you need to find the screen, but you're having trouble, just do any search from that Worldcat search bar and the results page will have the button. Once you click that button, you'll be prompted to choose your school again and then log in with your Eagle ID. It's the same login as Blackboard. It should be the same login that you're used to using. It's not a special login just for library stuff. So once you've logged in, your name should actually be displayed in the corner instead of the login button. So there's my name. If you click on your name, it expands the menu under your name there, and you can choose My Account. And under My Account, you're going to see a list of the items that you've checked out. And as long as they're not overdue, you'll see a Renew button, like the one that I've circled there in blue on the slide. If you click the Renew button, it will tell you how many times you've renewed the item, and it'll renew it for you. So if the renew option doesn't work or there's no renew button, contact the library to find out what's next. You may have fines or it might be overdue, and we can help you out over the phone or through email or chat. So let's talk about Interlibrary Loan next. So Interlibrary Loan, or ILL, is a service that the library offers in order to fill temporary needs for resources that we don't currently own or have a subscription to. ILL essentially allows us to check out items from other libraries. So for physical books, this involves either mailing the item or using a courier to bring it to the library. Now, Right now, because of the coronavirus closures and everything, we're focusing on our electronic ILLs instead of physical ones. Many of the libraries that we would normally ask for loans are not loaning right now, and we're not really loaning out much either. So the ideal electronic ILL would work like this. You identify the resource you want, you submit an ILL request to the library, and then you receive a response from the library staff member, including either a link or a PDF of the resource that you requested. Not every single ILL request goes as planned, but the library will attempt to help you as best we can, including sometimes purchasing an ebook copy of a resource if it is available. Make sure to keep an eye on your email after you submit a request in case the library has questions for you. So there are two ways to get to an ILL request. Either you know the exact resource you're looking for and you search for it without finding it at A&M Texarkana, or you did a keyword search in Worldcat Discovery and found a resource that you want to look at that's not currently available at A&M Texarkana. The next steps are the same regardless of how you approached that problem of not being able to find the resource. So first, you would go to Worldcat Discovery and check off libraries worldwide in the limiters. That opens up the search to items that we don't have access to. Secondly, you would search for the item that you want to request. Once you find it, whether by keyword or by looking up the exact title of an article or book, if there's a link to access it, obviously try that first, and you may not need to request an ILL. But if there isn't any access, you should see gray text reading held by other libraries worldwide. So the third step is to click on the title of the resource that you want in order to expand it and reveal more options. Once you do that, you'll see a request item through Interlibrary Loan button, and click on that. That opens up a form, and the details of the resource are already pre-filled. So all you need to enter is a cutoff date for the request, how much you'd be willing to pay for the request, although most ILLs do not require any fees, and your contact information. Once you submit the form, it goes to a library worker who will work on fulfilling your request, and then will contact you with questions if necessary. So we're going to move on to course reserves now. For course reserves, I'm going to first show you how to identify what your professor has put on reserve for you. Then I'll go over how to actually get access to those reserve books. On the Worldcat Discovery screen, now this screen you can get to by doing a simple search in that search bar on our library page, but you can only get to it once you're in Worldcat Discovery. So do a regular search for anything at all and it'll pop up. On the Worldcat Discovery screen at the very top, there's that gray bar, and I've got the course reserves link circled in blue here. And if you're starting from the library's homepage, like I said, just do any search and it'll pop you right through to this page. Once you're on the course reserves page, you can search by course, instructor, or you can even browse through the list of all of them to find the book information. The normal procedure in normal times for accessing course reserves is to go to the library and ask for the title at the front desk. Now you can still do that. We're not closed, but we are doing contact tracing, so there's a slightly different procedure. It would be best to either make an appointment or contact the library ahead of time. But the best way to get a course reserve book or other material right now is to shoot us an email at libraryhelp@tamut.edu and make sure and include as much information about the book that you need as possible, including if you only need certain chapters. On request only, we will either find electronic access for the materials or arrange for physical access, depending on the individual situation and title. We're trying to remain flexible and adaptable in this very unusual situation, so just be patient and we'll get it figured out so that you can get access. Worldcat Discovery's tools are very helpful, but what if you're just still getting too much junk in your search results? Well, you can narrow down your search even further, but you do have to go back a few steps. So if you choose a specific database that's already targeted to your discipline or topic, you'll get more specific information and faster. On the left side of the library's webpage, there's a list of sections, the About, Library Services, etc. If you click on Locate Library Resources, it will take you to a list of different types of resources that the library has. And the very first one is for databases. So if you click on that, it takes you to the A to Z database list. And we've got over 250 databases listed that you have access to. Most of those are covered in the Worldcat Discovery search. However, if you're looking for a specific type of resource, you might want to check here. This list is sortable by subject and type of resource, and you can also search the list of databases, which can be a little confusing actually, because if you search for databases on this page, you're just searching this page with descriptions of the databases. You're not actually searching the databases here. So one good trick to using this page is to try to use the subjects drop-down menu. There you're going to find options like biology, psychology, and just recently added social work. This sorts the databases for you and gives you a targeted list of databases that pertain to the subject you're researching. Now, in this example, I'm going to show you, if you're looking for an article that's, say, literary criticism, you can search for literary criticism in the database list. Then the databases that come up in the results will have descriptions beneath them, so you can choose exactly which database you want to check for your project. So if a database is described using the words abstract or index, remember I talked about earlier full text versus partial text, the abstracts or index indicate partial text only. So keep that in mind when you're choosing where to look. If you click into the first option that we had there, literature criticism online, it'll take you to the database so you can do your search. Now, our old swoop system used EBSCO. Our Worldcat Discovery system actually uses a different company called OCLC. This is a Gale database. They're all different companies and they all work a little bit differently, but the idea is still the same. So you're going to have the same tools, they just might be laid out a little differently. Gale databases will usually have a very simple search bar at the very top and then an advanced search below with Boolean terms that you can change in those dropdowns to and, or not. So if we enter the search terms Walt Whitman in one line and poem in the next line, the page will construct the search as Walt Whitman and poem. And because that search is so broad, we're going to end up with a lot of results. The search found 1,624 results. The good news is there are limiters in almost every single database results page. They might look different or have different categories, but that's actually usually a good thing because the categories are different because they're customized for these exact database and the type of content the database has. So just by checking off limiters to narrow down my results, I was able to go from 1,624 records to only 26. And that's going to be a lot easier to look through. Now, I would note that this database does not have a peer-reviewed limiter. Literature criticism is inherently opinion-based, and many articles and journals of this type are not going to be peer-reviewed. So keep that in mind and make sure to follow your professor's instructions depending on the assignment that you're actually doing. You can save the article to a folder as well, but remember how that little save star button in Worldcat Discovery works, where it only works if you're logged into Worldcat Discovery. This is kind of the same. If you hit that save button where it's got the little folder on it in a Gale database, it'll save it to your Gale account. So just keep that in mind. If you're using a specific database and you want to try and save an article, you may want to instead save it to a Google Drive or OneDrive or some other cloud drive, or even download it. Once you click into the article's actual page, you can also get a citation and send the file to a drive. It gives you little tool buttons there that you can use to kind of shortcut that process. So in review of that, you can get to the database list by clicking on Locate, then Database on the library's website. Then you just need to choose a database by sorting or searching the list to find the right resource. Using your chosen database's search tools, you would create a search, then you would use limiters to focus your results, and then just remember to save your article. Now, I want to talk about peer review again real quick. There's another way to find out if a journal is peer reviewed, and that's called Ulrich's Web. It's one of the databases on the A to Z databases list, but instead of having articles or videos, the information it contains is actually information about journals. So once you open this database, you can type the name of the journal that your article is from and search. Now, if we search for the source of our Gale Literature Criticism Online article about Walt Whitman, which was called Poetry Criticism, then we can check to make sure it's not peer reviewed. Now, many other items come up in the search results, but the very top one is the correct one. We can tell because the publisher is listed as Gale and the title is an exact match for what we searched for. The second column on this results page, well, I guess the third, if you want to count the little checkboxes there, is the one that you need to pay attention to. That little black icon that looks like a little striped shirt, striped referee shirt. That means that the journal is refereed, which is another term for peer reviewed. Now, as you can see, poetry criticism is not peer reviewed. If we search instead for the journal that our article about stress in college students came from in the search that I tested out earlier, we can confirm that it is indeed peer reviewed. So the reason that there's multiple instances of the same journal title on that second screen grab there is because it's published in multiple formats. It's published in print, online, and microform. But because all of them are marked as refereed, we don't really need to figure out which one's which. So Ulrich's Web in review, you would find Ulrich's Web in the A to Z database list. You would search for your journal, not the article title, but the journal that the article is from. Look for that refereed mark. And then if it is marked, you have a peer-reviewed article. If it's not marked, you do not have a peer-reviewed article. And we're also going to talk about evidence-based research. Now, evidence-based research is another very important aspect of information, just like peer review is. But it's not always as easy to weed out from other resources the way peer-reviewed versus not peer-reviewed articles are. Evidence-based research is especially important in any health or medical fields. Any, an evidence-based health practice includes taking into account clinical expertise, the best research evidence, and patient values. So when researchers integrate evidence-based thinking into their work, it's more reliable, more scientific, and more human. You might see this concept expressed in different terms like evidence-based practice or program or medicine, research, healthcare, or other terms. But wherever you see evidence-based, the core concept is the same. Evidence-based practice means re-examining how it's always been done, choosing effective and scientifically validated methods to treat patients, and deliberate use of scientific research for your specific patient population. When you're looking for evidence-based research articles, you can look in CINAHL. CINAHL has an actual evidence-based checkbox, a limiter that you can use. Not all databases will have this, but we'll talk about that in a minute. If you go to CINAHL directly through the A to Z list, then click on the advanced search option. It'll take you to a bunch more limiters that you can use. And one of those is evidence-based practice. So once you check that off, your results will only include articles that are using EB, evidence-based. So other databases have evidence-based research articles, but they may not have a limiter for it, and they're not making it easy for you necessarily. So what you would do is search with your topic, but add the term and evidence-based with quotes. And then on the result list, you'll then have to select evidence-based as a subject. And what that is can vary by database. Let me show you a screen grab here. Now, this is an example of a Boolean search in our Gale psychology database. So you see evidence-based in quotation marks as one of the keywords. It's evidence-based and depression is how the search is constructed. This is the result of that search. Now I selected academic journals up at the top here. It's got 3 options: magazines, academic journals, and news. So I selected the academic journal option, and then I opened up the subject menu over on the right, and that very top one there's evidence-based medicine. So we could select that, and it's going to only show us those 179 results that have evidence-based medicine and depression. I also want to point out that Gale flags peer-reviewed articles. I circled the top one there. It's got a little check circle, and it says peer-reviewed under it. So you get a lot of information just off of your search results screen. So when you're looking for peer-reviewed evidence-based research, it's a very important skill to learn. And it's something to keep in mind every time you're looking for resources for a research project. If you find an article that is both peer-reviewed and has evidence-based research, then you've got a very high-quality source. And in general, that's what you're going to want to look at the most when you're doing your own research projects, is very high-quality sources. So even after taking this class, you might still get stuck once in a while, and that's completely okay. We've got the help, library guides, and schedule an appointment buttons on every page of the library's website. The help button takes you to several ways to get assistance, including chat features and contact information. You can chat with the librarian at the John F. Moss Library during open hours, or if nobody's available or it's the middle of the night, you can actually chat with a librarian from another library that's waiting to help you. Our FAQs also have a lot of basic information and how-tos, and you can even search for COVID in our FAQs and find any policies or information regarding COVID procedures. Our library guides, or LibGuides for short, are created by the library to help you find resources for a specific class or subject. There's over 77 guides currently, and we're always working on more. On the LibGuides page, you can search for a particular topic, and each guide has information on how to find books, ebooks, databases, and journals about that topic. It's a really good place to start a project, and I'm working on a social work LibGuide right now. On the schedule an appointment page, you can make an appointment to talk to a librarian about your project. You can pick the day and time from each librarian's calendar and let them know what you'd like their help with. If you want, this can be a scheduled phone call or a Zoom meeting, or you can even come and see us in person, but we are limiting contact right now, so phone and Zoom is more ideal. In order to get training on other library resources, you can also make an appointment with a librarian, and you can also check for upcoming training classes that are already scheduled on our calendar. So our goals for this particular class were to define database, find Worldcat Discovery on the library's website, search for resources and narrow down search results. We went over how to renew a checkout, request an interlibrary loan, and find course reserves. We looked at how to find individual databases on the library's website. We've defined peer review and evidence-based research. And now you know where to go for help, including our LibGuides, the chat, and more. If you have any questions or you want to reach out or get clarification on anything in this presentation, or if you need help with an assignment or anything library related, feel free to give me a call or shoot me an email, and I will get back to you on whatever your question is. And I really appreciate you hanging in there, watching the whole presentation. I hope you learned something. And once more, thank you very much, and have a great night or evening or day or whatever time you are. But yes, shoot me an email if you need anything, and thank you.